Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Grandpa Mark's Hobbies and a finale of Revell's 32 Ford Tudor Sedan kit. Man, I had a blast with this. I'm really glad I did what I was thinking about doing and getting that replacement kit for the engine and everything else. Let me get the guys out of the way here. Noelle stopped by today just to say hi. Rob Burgers and Dogged it today. Lori and Daisy stopped in. TJ just can't leave those carbs alone. I think Chandler was looking for a pack of smokes on the seat. Lee stopped in. He was next door at the fire department. We got some pictures getting taken. Tim is making sure everything's perfect on this. Zach's finishing up the tires. And Terry thinks she's going to drive this one home. All right, let's talk about this 32 for just a few minutes before the music video. I've fallen in love with this kit. Just like all the other modern Revell Roadster kits, the 30, the 28, or the 29s, they're just great kits. You can almost put them in a bag, shake them up, and they'll come out as a car. But you remember on the 30, I stole a bunch of parts from this one. And then I ended up getting this one, and I fell in love with this while I was building the 30. I wanted those parts back for this one. So I ended up getting a donor kit, which is fine. That gives me a ton of extra parts. And, you know, they always give you a ton of extra parts. But with this kit, there's a lot of good ones that are extra in there that I'll use somewhere down the road for sure, because this isn't the last Roadster I'm going to do. You see, I have the hood open halfway. That's exactly what I had planned for this. I wanted to show this kit with the side louvers on. You'll see in the music video how this gives it a really cool look. The 80s look, exactly what I wanted. I opted to not put the door latches on. I was going to put them on the front side to make it look like a suicide doors, but then back in the 80s is when they started shaving all this stuff. And Rusty's right. Leave them off. They look good that way. That's about when they started shaving everything. So good call on that. And I'm happy I did that. But then again, you can see exactly what I was going for. I was going for the drop, the chopped, and the clean look. I almost didn't use the louvers, but I talked myself into it because I can't put a flathead closed up. I know it'd overheat. It's just the way they are. So I went with the louvers on that. Let me pull this off, and we'll talk about the rest of this. My radiator, when I put it on and glued it in and everything, it kind of had a backwards cant to it a little bit. So I tilted it forward. I got the body in place where it's going to always drop. And I put that center column, the center pillar in here. You see it's not in there because I didn't want that in there after it. But yeah, I know I have the holes for it, but whatever. But what that did is that tilted this far enough forward where this will drop in there and kind of sit snug. So it's not going to just fall out. It'll wait until I get it to a show before it does that. But in order to hold it there, I'm using my radiator hoses to do that. So once they were good and dry, I was able to take the center bar out. I don't need it in there. And it just kind of, I don't know, with it off, I like it better without it. Especially with the fender on there, because it does sit below the fender instead of laying on it. So I opted to drop it. The radiator hoses, in order to keep it so it wasn't going to jerk up here, I super glued them in place, And then I JB welded them in place with my super weld. And I use this a lot on this build. I just got this at the show last week, and I don't know how I got around without it because it just makes life a whole heck of a lot easier. But that's not only is it super glued in, it's JB welded in, and that's keeping this in place. And I know it's not going to blow out. I know it's not going to shift because the engine's glued in place in 3 spots. So I'm good there. The louvered hood drops in fine, and it lays in there nice. But look at how cool that flathead is. I put the wires in. I used Excel wires because back in the 80s, you weren't cool unless you had Excel wires. Um, Fuel lines, the oil lines on the oil tank, um, the linkage on this side, the Excel wires, and the dipstick is in place. So we got everything there that needs to be there. The generator, I went with black, but I went with chrome pulleys all the way around. And I like that look. It's just everything about this just looks right. I did an aluminum radiator and a semi-gloss black fan and supports. That's the way it would have been. I did try to put bluing on the exhaust and failed miserably. So I went back over top of that with the aluminum. I will figure it out. There's some stuff coming down the pipe that should help with that, and I think it'll all be good. So let me flip this thing over for you for a second. On the underside, I used the super weld like crazy. I used it to glue all my chrome on, and it worked out good. It's not leaving any marks whatsoever. I did sand all my chrome to get rid of the mold lines, and then I glued them in place and then came back with the fusion firm, and I didn't glue that in. I have to do that. And then came back with a fusion firm and re-chromed it all. So it looks good. I even have a chromed differential. So with that, the bottom mount came out great. The lights look good in there. The headlights are nice and bright. The ditch lights, and thank you for letting me know what they were called, came out really good. I did paint those amber. They're going to be the turn signals for this just because of the way it's set up. And like I said, this is an 80s car. And the, let me see if I can get that to focus here. There we go. The license plate shows it with the big hair. The taillights are exactly the way I wanted them. I wanted them flush mounted on there. And I didn't want chrome. I wanted that to be dark. So when these are off, this is a very dark red and it blends in nice and slick to it. No fenders. Didn't want that look. So I took the fenders off. I just have the crash bars on. The interior, like I said, we'll learn how to do gauges better down the road. But for now, it is what it is. So let's go in. I want to remind everybody that our store is open and running. So if you want to get anything, jump on over, pick it up. Our 24-hour group build apparel is in, and coffee mug. And I just picked up the black one. I will show it in my weekday update for this Wednesday. This will go along with our second annual breast cancer awareness group build put on by Jason from KRD Klein Racing Design, Bruce from Bruce's Eclectic World, Lennis Schultz, and myself from Grandpa Mark's Hobbies. So jump on over to the store. All the proceeds that get sent to me are going to end up going to the 24-hour group build. So we need to get $2,000 saved up for this so that I can shave my hair again. Let's thank Gallery for everything they do. They've sure helped out the way I build. My painting was horrible until I started using their airbrushes. And now that they got their own line of paints out, it's come out to where I don't feel like I'm painting with voodoo anymore. I'm uh, going in the right direction now. Um, let's thank our active duty members, our veterans, and our first responders for putting it on the line every single day. Um, I salute each and every one of you, and thank you. And it doesn't hurt to say thanks to a vet. Yesterday, a guy walked up to Zach, shook his hand, and gave him a thank you for being a vet challenge coin. And I'll tell you what, that meant a lot to him and me because that's just cool as heck. But with that, let's start the show. And thank you very much for watching. Y'all have a great day.